And there we have it. Ajax 0, Inter 2 in game week 1 of the Champions League. Now, I feel like this victory, regardless of the performance, regardless of the scorelines, regardless of who scored, it was massive for Inter. For 3 different reasons, and I will break it down one by one. Firstly, Chivu. As of now, he sits on 2 wins, 2 defeats. In the Champions League, whoever you are across the world, whoever you support, I feel like every football fan has looked at Inter's first 4 games in the Champions League and told themselves, by game week 5, you guys should be 12 out of 12 points. If you're not on 12 out of 12, a lot of questions need to be asked. When you bear in mind, Ajax is not the Ajax of old. I predicted Inter to win this game comfortably, and they did. Ajax, Slavia Prague, USG, Kairak. These are teams, regardless of the performance, regardless of the scoreline, regardless of the injuries, suspensions, regardless of the tactics, these are games that Inter should be going. Thank you for the 3 point. 3 point after 3 point after 3 point after 3 point. 12 out of 12 to see out the Champions League campaign, because that's when it gets difficult. That's when you start to look at Chivu and say, you need to earn your bread and butter. Like, now you need to earn your bread and butter. This is your opportunity to prove to everybody that's doubted you, that's questioned you, that was against your appointment, that you belong in the big boy league. And what I mean by the big boy league is things as simple as San Siro against Arsenal. Things as simple as Adi San Siro against Liverpool. You're coming up against teams that share the same ambition as you. One, to make it through. But if they do make it through, they want to reach the final. They want to win the Champions League. And that's where Chivu needs to show, I can rally the troops. I can get them on board. I can tactically out-edge Arne Slot. I can tactically out-edge somebody like Mikel Arteta. But Inter being 12 out of 12 will give them a massive advantage heading into the final 4 games, because I haven't really predicted them to pick up that many points, but heading into game week 5, being 12 out of 12, it should guarantee you at minimum a place in the playoffs. Now, touching on the game very briefly, who stood out, who didn't? Hakan Calhanoglu. I mentioned at the beginning of the video, there's a few players that we're now beginning to see some consistency in their performances, and this is massive. This is massive for somebody like Chivu. One, Hakan, he didn't really have the best of campaigns last season. Like, he was very unreliable. His performances were very inconsistent. And as much as so many people sympathized and said, listen, age is catching up, he's physically declining, a lot of reoccurring injuries, and the fact that he's so integral to the way that somebody like Inzaghi wanted to play the game, and there's no like-for-like replacement. You could make a case Zielinski is similar-ish, but Zielinski was practically out the whole of last season. Hakan was in and out of the team last year because of injuries. You never ever really saw the Hakan of the year prior when Inter won the Scudetto. Because as wild as this may sound, I remember that season watching Hakan and I was like, listen, if somebody was to ask me right now, who's the best regista? Like, who's the best number 6 deep lying playmaker in the world? I would have probably said Rodri, who won the Ballon d'Or that year. But after him, nobody else could compete, in my opinion, with Hakan. I felt like Hakan, the year Inter won the Scudetto, he was amazing. He didn't kick on the season afterwards because of age, because of injuries, being in and out of the team. The summer comes, the civil war. I call it the Inter-Civil War. Beppe Marotta, Lautaro Martinez, the Club World Cup. I feel like now that we know a lot of context, and now we know who the true snake within the camp was, like who was the player that represents House Slytherin in Harry Potter, Benjamin Pavard, I feel like Hakan might have got thrown under the bus. Fair enough, he might not carried himself, or his wife carried herself on social media, but I looked at him at the start of the season and I made a video breaking down which 3 players heading into 2025, 2026 are under the most pressure for different reasons. And my first person was Hakan Calhanoglu. Mainly because, listen, last season, there were a lot of setbacks. Your performances weren't up to par. This season, everybody's looking at you as the senior pro, as somebody that has so much to offer, as somebody, when you play well, the team plays well. When you play well, the team 9 times out of 10 goes on to win. You are an integral member to this team. Can you put everything behind you? And I feel like, one, his performance against Juve was quality. Like, Hakan rolled back the years. Those 2 goals are ridiculous, especially the second one. Like, regardless of the fact that he scored them from outside the box, the ability to control the ball on the chest and still control the power and the height of your strike and put it into the back of the net away from home, big pressure moments, that's what big players do. Big players step up to the big pressure moments. Now, can you follow it up? One good performance is not good enough. 1 needs to turn into 2. 2 needs to turn into 3. 3 needs to turn into 4. 4 needs to turn into 5. Today against Ajax, away from home, another big game. I feel like Hakan was great, man. Like, if we were just to look at his numbers very briefly, 2 assists and 90% pass accuracy, 6 out of 8 duels won in the center of the park, 6 defensive actions, and my favorite stat for any midfielder, 10 passes into the final third. Hakan, like, I felt like he had a monster performance. Now, seeing as we're speaking about monsters, it's only right to speak about Marcus Thuram, because he's another player that's been in the spotlight over the past 2 to 3 days, especially after the Derby d'Italia, mainly because of like the little shenanigans that were going on between him and Kefram Thuram, who is his brother. Inter goal 4-3 down, he's smiling, he's having a little laugh with his brother, and you have to bear in mind, some people are a bit more rational, they're a bit more objective. They look at it and say, listen, they're family, they're brothers. On a football pitch, you're automatically always going to gravitate towards your brother, your sibling. He's the person you're going to feel most comfortable with, to have a conversation, to have a laugh. The reports that have come out are him telling him, go and tell the referee it was a foul. Oh, the goal is going to be chalked off. He's having a joke with his brother. Fair enough. I agree from the aspect of time and place. Maybe, just maybe, it should have been left for the full-time whistle. Maybe, just maybe, it should have been left for the changing room, on your way home, on WhatsApp. The fact that there's cameras, bro, like on a football pitch, there's cameras looking at you from every bloody angle. Sometimes time and place, but at the same time, you can't really tell players how to behave. I still looked at it and felt like maybe the performance against Juve, people were just looking for a scapegoat. People were just looking for somebody to pin blame on. Because as wild as this may sound, him and Hakan Calhanoglu, once again, were the standout performers in that game. Nobody even came close. Them two were the standout performers. Marcus Thuram was a one-man show in attack. Today against Ajax, one-man show. You look at the 2 goals, they're practically replicas of one another. A corner into Thuram, gets the leap, gets the jump, gets the accuracy, generates the right power. Thank you very much. Them two stepping up their performances, them two showing a level of consistency is massive for somebody like Chivu, because we can't really say the same about many other players. With Chivu, I feel like the problem that I see with Chivu is the fact that he wants to play a type of system to play off certain principles which require a young team. There's no team in the world that plays high energy, high press, gegenpressing off the ball, all of these principles of pressing football. No team in the world does that with an average age of 30, 31. Gegenpressing, it originates from Germany, from the Bundesliga. Go look at all of the teams that top the metrics of winning the ball in the final third, of applying serious pressure throughout a 90-minute game. Every single one of them has an average age of like 23, 24, 25, 26, 27 tops. The fact that he's trying to do it with a team that has an average age of 30, 31, relying on centre halves, which are the majority of them over the age of 30, to deploy a high line and to play this risky vertical football, I look at him and say, listen, as much as you might have not been backed fully in the transfer window, and you are now relying on a lot of players that are from the Simone Inzaghi era, that suit the Simone Inzaghi system, and now your system is the polar opposite, I just look at it and say, sometimes you can make life a little bit easier for yourself. Something as simple as, I need to start seeing Sucic as a starter. Against Torino, he was amazing. Then the game against Udinese, you could see the physicality of the game. It got the beating of him. But let's be real. The physicality of Udinese got the beating of the entire Inter 11. I'm still looking at it and saying, start him on a weekly basis. Let him grow. Let him make mistakes. He will learn from those mistakes and he will become a far better player. Mkhitaryan, for me, at the age of 38, he needs to be phased out because I haven't been impressed with him at all this entire season. And when I look at Inter's trio in midfield, I look at it and tell myself, if they want to be dominant, if they want to be aggressive, if they want to be penetrative, if they still want to try and play off the principles of high press, high energy, there's a very high chance of you being successful at it with a trio of Hakan, Barella, and Sucic rather than Hakan, Barella, Mkhitaryan. Don't get me wrong, Mkhitaryan brings a lot into the team in terms of, like, he fights, he tracks back, he wins duels. I feel like he's great on the ball. Like, he's great at retaining the ball. But I feel like for the first time in his career, the legs aren't there. And for somebody that wants to play very high risk, high reward football, you need runners. Somebody like Sucic fits the bill. Now, God knows why it became a Inter deep tactical dive into Chivu's tactics. But I just feel like, one, the performance was comfortable. Two, Thuram, Hakan Calhanoglu performing to a high level on a consistent basis, working hand in hand to get the 3 points. It's massive for Chivu. It's massive for Inter. And also, it's massive for the both of them individually for their own personal reasons. Hakan, all of the abuse in the summer, all of the question marks, all of the doubt. This is his way of silencing his critics. Marcus Thuram, mainly based off what happened on the weekend. Like, I was seeing a lot of tweets on social media, like he shouldn't play against Ajax and this and that. But when you bear in mind, his strike partner hasn't really stepped up to the bill this whole season in Lautaro Martinez. He hasn't been impactful. He hasn't been effective. He's hardly been involved in some games. Thuram at the moment stepping up when you need your big players to step up the most. It makes him a guaranteed starter. I look at Chivu and I say, listen, at the moment you've got yourself two players that are performing on a consistent basis. Can you turn 2 into 3? Can you turn 3 into 4? Can you turn 4 into 5, into 6, into 7? Next thing you know, you've got yourself a team that's fully gelled with one another. There's chemistry. They play by your principles. And if it means dropping some of the big names, so be it. So be it. You don't really owe anybody here. Like, let's be real. When a new manager comes in, you don't owe anybody anything. He doesn't owe Mkhitaryan anything. He never signed him. He never ever developed him. He never brought him to Inter. He hasn't worked with him hand in hand. I'm walking in and I'm assessing you as of 2025. I don't know. When did he take over? June? I'm assessing you as of June 2025. If you don't fit the bill, if you don't fit my characteristics, if you don't fit my principles, thank you for what you've done. I appreciate it. I salute it. But I'm playing somebody else. This isn't the previous regime. It's a new regime, and Chivu needs to take charge. I need to see when he tries to integrate somebody like Enrique, somebody like Diouf, because I feel like they bring that element of physicality into this team, and you never know. They might be players that people look at and say, wow, we probably should have started them from the start of the season, because physicality in a very aggressive system, it can be a game changer. At the moment, it's an aggressive system with very minimal physicality. But once again, I don't know why it's become another deep tactical dive when it's an Ajax 0 Inter 2 match review. But I'm just here giving my thoughts on Inter and Chivu. Make sure to like, make sure to subscribe, and I will definitely catch you guys on another one.